What about a mission? You guys are going to go on a mission in the Army. What would that be, a project or a task?
It's a task.
Project, because you go through the phases, right? There's a planning mission, maybe.
It's a project.
Expansion.
It's a project. They got
yes.
proper training, like a year training and whatever they go
And
after.
the commanding officers are
Yes,
in a room
it's a
and they're doing
project.
strategic plans and they're getting intel. So all that is, you can argue that it goes through the 4 phases of the project life cycle, right?
Yes.
And that's one way to tell, is it a project or not? Are we going through a project life cycle? Is it something I can just go, hey, guys, let's get out of class early, let's get on the president's good list, let's go pick up trash, or let's go into that water, hopefully we have tetanus shots and whatever else, and go pick up the trash in there. I don't think we want to do that, but if we did, that wouldn't be a project. That's just simply a task or activity, yeah. Okay, so any questions on what are projects and what are non-projects? I can promise you there's at least 3 or 4 questions that are going to be scenarios. One of them might be slightly tricky. Just think about it like I just said. Is there a initiating, planning, performing, and closing? If the answer is no, it's not a project. If it's something that let's just go do it, let's take care of it, that is a non-project, we will just go ahead and do it. That'll be a task. Okay, moving on. A project has clear objectives. So a project to build a building. What is our building? That's our objective. Get that building built successfully and to the end user, consumers' happiness of what they want in their plans, right? So every project has to have a clear objective. So if you see a question that says something like, true or false, every project has a clear objective, the answer is true.
Yes.
Okay?
Every project
All
has a
right.
target.
Let's talk about planning. Do projects have start times and end times?
Yes.
It was in your book and it was on a PowerPoint. Every project has a start and end time. So if you see something that says every project has a start and end time, the answer is 100%. You don't just osmosis and guesstimate. You've got a date and you've got a date. We've got to know when we're going to do it. So yeah, we have a date. So it's a firm date to start and finish. Okay. The first step in a project is to develop a set of criteria against which a project will be evaluated. Make sure you know that. That may be a true and false question. Who remembers what the PMI is? It was 4 classes.
Project Management Institute.
Project Management Institute, the PMI. So what is the PMI? Anyone remember?
I have it written down.
Okay.
Part of it, Premier Worldwide Nonprofit Association.
For
Project managers.
Professionals? Okay.
Yeah.
So very, very close. It's a worldwide not-for-profit association dedicated to training project managers and other project professionals to succeed in a project or an industry. PMI aims to continue providing resources for project managements around the world to enhance their skills. There's a Houston chapter if you want to join. You become like Jennifer in the video. She's a PMP, professional project manager, planner. You become a designation of a PMP. So when you apply, people go, oh, okay, this person's a professional project manager. Doesn't matter, it's a cross-functional discipline. Doesn't matter if you're in automotive, you're in the hair industry, working for the Chi company, you're in FedEx, you work for Tesla. You're a professional project manager. You don't have to necessarily be experienced in one thing or another. You just have the know-how of setting resources, getting projects completed. Okay, so know what the PMI is. That promise you there'll be a question on that. It's on your review guide as well. Okay, next, the project life cycle stages. Anybody? Yeah, we talked about before, so make sure you've got that covered. It's going to say, what is the project life cycle? Just make sure you know what that is. Make sure what the planning stage is, the initiating phase, executing, and closing. Just know where they fall, like I talked about, 1, 2, 3, 4. Be aware of that. So initiating, right? The initiating phases of life cycle, project life cycle, starts with recognizing a need or a problem or an opportunity. So if there's a question that says, what would occur in the initiating phase? What would happen or what would be activity? There you'd be looking for something of, there's recognition of a problem, a need, an opportunity for which we're going to go ahead and initiate a project. So how are we going to address it? So what is talked about, this is always like, there's got to be a pain point. You've heard me say pain point, pain point. What's the pain point that we're doing this? People don't just often do projects unless you're the federal government and you have money to spend, because you have to spend it, it's use it or lose it mentality. Most companies, for profit, are doing something because they have to. They don't want to spend the money, but they're doing it because there's a pain point. They've got to take care of something, problem. We talked about the Lone Star College Business Department. The school's growing, they need more classrooms, they can't handle the students, they're going to start turning students away. So we've got to build a building for just the business department. That would be the pain point. And in the initiating portion, we, as the bidding contractor, know that's the problem. And you, as the customer, Lone Star, knows that that's your, so we want to make sure we come together. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Do all projects have to be completed?
Yes.
So what happens if you're like this bridge, or if you've ever heard of the bridge to nowhere? This was a project that started and never finished. What might have happened? Anyone?
Incomplete project.
No money.
No money.
The answer I was looking for is money ran out, poor planning, company that was building it walked away. They found that it wasn't safe, that the ocean, this is not a true story, the ocean, I'm making this up, the ocean wasn't safe there, the beams were going to get corroded, and it wasn't going to work. Or they found out there's mudslides after they started the project. Oh, because the planning phase failed us, because we didn't do enough research into it, and it turned out that the road washes out and it would become an unsafe environment. So yeah, every project needs to have an end. So even if it's an end like, well, we started it, but it turned out to be unsafe, hopefully there's enough planning, testing before we bid on the project, before we started the project, to determine that it's a good project. But you know, we've got to finish the project out. The whole point of a project is to deliver what was promised. So if I promise to build you a bridge, we're going to build you a bridge. My cousin in Canada builds bridges for a living. He designs and builds them. He moved on to sales because he said he makes a lot more money than being an engineer that designs bridges. But he said the process of a bridge takes anywhere between 15 to 20 years. So from when we bid the bridge, like research the pain point, to when we actually get ready to start building that suspension bridge or whatever it is, it may be 15 to 20 years before that bridge is built. It doesn't just happen overnight. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of load analysis. There's wind. There's all the weight of cars, 18-wheelers. What's going to go on the bridge, right? So there's a lot of planning. Relationships. You all know I'm really big on relationships. So make sure you understand that building solid relationships and industry contacts is important. Here we talk about networking. And then the word I use is keeping a pulse on the market. So when a bid comes, if you're a construction firm, they like you, you know, maybe you supply Rockets tickets, or you take them out to eat once in a while, you give them some really nice cigars. You keep a pulse on your customers.
Inviting.
Yeah, you've got to have that relationship. Even if you know that it's not going to be instant gratification, it's an investment. It's an investment into your future. Construction projects, big construction projects don't happen with one company all the time, right? Unless it's just a booming company, but they might build a building and they might build something else in another 5-6 years. But you want to stay in their good graces. You want to keep that relationship, keep that pulse on them, keep that networking opportunity, because the next time they come, they know you, right? In case study 2, was there a question similar to that where it talked about that they knew the guy? Remember that? Okay. If you've worked with somebody before and you have a favorable opinion of them, generally you're going to think, let me call so-and-so first. I do it all the time. Now, contrary to that, guy did a really crappy job. They were snakes in the grass. They sold us snake oil. They were not reliable. They didn't return calls. You know, is that the kind of outfit I want to work with? No. So it's really important to have a relationship. I look at all relationships like an investment. So how can I keep that relationship going? How can I keep a positive impression, even if it's sending a holiday card, right? Hey, wishing you well, hope you guys are still enjoying your new building we built for you in 2010. Little things you do keep in their memory. Nowadays, right, social media, so you add social platforms and you add your customers, you keep in touch with them, whether it's a professional platform like LinkedIn or if you're on the X platform, whatever it is. You want to stay in their face, be relevant, and always know that, you know, they think of you in a favorable opinion. So you got to put the client first. My view is client, 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 or customer, customer, customer. Make sure, I told you guys, if you make a mistake, you own your mistake, right? You don't make excuses, you don't blame, I'm not gonna go blame Alex over there and say, well, it's Alex's fault. Alex and I are on the same team. So if we lose, Trevor, I'm gonna use you, sports guy. If we lose a game, all right, we're playing a basketball game together, Trevor misses the last shot. I hear he's a pretty good basketball player, but let's say he missed the last shot, 2 seconds left, he went for it, Hail Mary, gung-ho, and he missed. We lose the game by 2 points. The whole team gets back in the locker room, they go, Trevor, you missed that damn shot. If your coach does that to you, he's flawed, because we didn't lose, one person didn't lose the game for us. It was the entire team that lost that game, right? We could have played better defense in the second half. We could have hit those free throws when we went 6 and 12, right? We went 50% at the line. So in the sports world, we don't blame one person. We are a collective unit where we take ownership. And the same thing, when you're on a team working on a project, you take ownership to it. So it's easy to blame Renew and say, Renew, it's all your fault, you did this. But the truth of the matter is, yes, the project manager, the project leader is going to be the front. He's going to say, we messed up, we didn't do blah, blah, blah. But we're never going to say, well, it was your fault. You didn't get those drawings to me soon enough. Your people didn't communicate. You didn't really respond to those emails. That's not the attitude. That's not the favorable relationship we want. Not with your customer. I wouldn't do that with your partner, wife, spouse, husband either. I don't think it's a good idea.
It looks
Could
like
be
a-
true,
I-
but you don't put it out there like that, right?
Yeah, it can be, exactly. It can be true, and it can be 100, and we always want to keep it classy, right? We always want to keep it classy, especially when we talk about, I hate to say it, the customer is always right. If any of you are waiters or waitress, do any waitressing, is anyone done waitressing or waiting? Okay, and you've had total jerks, right? Like, even in the hair cutting world, I know, my best friend owns a barber shop. He's like, man, we spent 2 hours cutting this guy.